Now it's time to take some measurements and get ready to build up a 3D model of this little board. Now, while most people are using something like Blender or Onshape or some other sort of maybe CAD or 3D design software, I'm chilling out with Tinkercad because, I don't know, it seems to be reliable enough and it does all the things that I've needed it to do so far, so why change from something that's working just fine? Yeah, admittedly, I probably should move into Blender so that I can bevel the edges and stuff easier.
High heels, got my freakum dress on. Pour it up while they playing my song. Penthouse energy up to the morning. Everybody want a piece, but the line too long. Yeah, it's all live. Foreign pulling up to the front, tongue tied. Wannabes wanna be us, no lie. 4K getting angles, grip my waist with the bass going bang, bang, bang. Taking me slow, no chaser. So don't be shy.
Because that's not ready. Oh wait, there we go. The bed temperature is going up. So the bed's going to reach temperature, then the tool is going to reach temperature, and it's going to start printing. I'm just going fingers crossed and hoping that since the last time I used the 3D printer that it'll be perfectly fine. It is quite humid there. Humidity right now is 89.8%. And the temperature out there is 16.7 degrees Celsius. So it is absolutely terrible situation for 3D printing right now out there. But, I've hit start. Mail time. We've got the classic package in a package. Oh, this one isn't package in a package. Anyway, this was from one of those bulk buy purchases. The more you buy, the cheaper it is. And I managed to find things so that it felt really good and cheap. Anyway, Velcro. There's a little Velcro things for cables so that you can Velcro up your cables and keep them nice and tidy. And anyone who's watched my channel for a little bit will know is that I like tidy cables. A screen protector. So, I don't know, that's sort of pretty self-explanatory at that point. Let me just make sure that it's not broken, because I did hear a crack noise. Oh, it must be one of those gel ones. So I'll put that to the side. I've actually got no idea what's in this package, but it feels somewhat large and mildly hard or solid or... Ah, it's this thing. I accidentally got the wrong size. So I got the small where I wanted the large, but... But what this is good for is, you know, you can put it in between a couple of walls or in a doorway, and with this lever here, you can tighten it up between that space. And this is super useful if you want to clamp a light or a camera to it or something like that. And these pads go on the end to help distribute out the weight a little better. I'll figure it out. But unfortunately, I did get the smaller size. It was only like $1 or 50 cents cheaper. I looked at the measurements and then brought the wrong one, and then realized I brought the wrong one after I paid for the package, and thought I'd just wait and see what the size was like. But this is definitely too small for what I want to use it for. It's not big enough. I'm going to use a bigger one, hopefully, if I manage to get a bigger one, to hold up a blanket in a wider than a doorway. So I want to use this that I got in the mail to help cordon off this area a bit. You see, that is the wash house. So it's loud when the washing machine's going because the washing machine is quite old and noisy. But also it's got lino floor and a big glass door. So lots of heat is lost and wasted in that area. So I ordered this. But it's kind of short. But I'm pretty sure I could just easily stick a PVC pipe into this end and this end and just be able to use this little tightening method quite easily like that in order to achieve what I'm trying to achieve here. Just need to measure it up. Alright, this is about 126 centimeters long, so I just need to trim off 51 centimeters in order to make it 75 centimeters long. Rather than deburring this, I'm just going to add a little bit of PVC tape, electrical tape, to the end of it, which should hopefully soften the end enough that it helps protect the plastic a little bit. That's the easy end. Seems to fit on quite well. Oh, I can't have the tape on that. Okay, so this end doesn't get more than a couple layers. Here we go. Ha. Quick test fit and extendo, retracto. Hey, there we go. Look at that. Super useful. I should be able to hang a blanket off of that and cordon off this whole area here. Now, so that things don't just fall off, I'm going to add a little bit of tape at these points here so that it's mildly safer. Magico Extendio! It is now the right length, even though it wasn't when I purchased it, because I've extended it! Now I am lucky that I do have some of this PVC pipe just laying around from previous projects. I think I actually got half of it for free. So now I can put a blanket up to help stop heat from escaping from where I want it to where I don't want it. Of course, I'm gonna use a slightly larger blanket than that. This one seems to only get about halfway up to the top of the roof. I hope I've got something big enough to facilitate the entire height. But that's the plan, that's the idea, that's how it's going to be executed. Maybe you want to do something like that as well. It is fairly easy to achieve, because I found that if I wanted to buy one of those already the correct length, it would be above $100, and I'm not quite willing to spend that much money on something that I can do. So I've just peeled off the 3D print that I left printing yesterday, and I mean, it turned out really well. It looks like everything is well set in place. Some of the finer details aren't quite there because it's not a high enough resolution 3D printer, but I think it looks like it turned out quite well. Now, I made two mistakes here. Mistake number one was I forgot about the width of the aerial module here on the ESP32, and I also forgot that I need to increase everything's size by about 1% or 2% so that everything actually fits, because whilst the measurements are, I would say, reasonably correct, because of the way the printing process is and it bulges out slightly, everything on here is just slightly too small. Mail time. Let's open the mystery package first. I can't remember what I ordered, as per usual. Although I recognize things. This is a 1000 kilovolt boost, step up, high voltage, generator, ignition, coil, pulse power, module, igniter, transformer. Think of it like a taser. A USB-C cable. A little LED matrix board. Let's just see. It's a WS2812 LED 5050 RGB 8x8 64-bit LED matrix module. I haven't played with one before, so I thought I'd get it and have a little play with it. And an ESP32C3, right? Yeah, C3. So look at it, a tiny little board. Yeah, you can barely see it. But I've been using the old ESP32 ROMs, and you know, they're half the size of a smartphone, and that's double the size of a thumbnail. So I wanted to give that a try, and there's another model up that has an OLED on it, and I'm thinking I might use that for a project coming up. I'm not going to say it because I might forget about it and then never do it, so I don't want to commit to it. A TV remote. I just wanted to make a TV remote that interacted with Home Assistant and gave me a little extra control over things and had a little screen on it for feedback. Okay, there. But it may never happen, especially now that I've said it, because it's come out of my mind and it may disappear into the ether. Anyway, moving on to the two package in a package. We have a... Oh no, it's an EU-based PD phone charger. Oh, I thought I specifically ordered AU. Oh well. And here's the AU-based phone charger with, I think, with one PD port and 3 normal ports. Okay. I think I had accidentally put this in my cart, and then I found this one, and then I was like, okay, cool, I'll get rid of this one. And didn't. That's okay though, because with these sorts of things, what I usually end up doing is I literally just snap the end off and wire in a cable that way, and usually that means that this will get mounted in a position more permanently. You know, it's less likely that I'll be moving this around. Now this will be great for travel because it's got 4 USB ports. I've only got the Samsung S23 standard, so it's got a maximum of like 8 watt charging. So this will be perfectly fine for me. You know, I'll add it to the pile. I've got this other one right here. Add it to the pile. Now for the last little package. Seems that this will probably actually be the easiest point of entry, but I've got no idea how well packaged this is, because this was sent by a person. This was the winning auction. I won this item on our New Zealand-based eBay called Trade Me, where I put a bid on this on a Tuesday, and it was to finish on a Sunday. And I actually ended up completely forgetting about this item that I had bid on. I didn't actually think I'd win it, but nobody else even tried to bid on it. And what, pray tell, may this item here actually be? Well, it's pretty well wrapped, I can tell you that much. It is, in fact, as you are about to see in just a moment, as I pull it out of the bag, it is an Xbox One Connect sensor. Yes, that is right, you heard me just right there. I am crazy enough to go and buy some old tech like this. Now, why would I buy this? Am I going ghost hunting or something? No. I was watching a video. And someone made an interactive display with a projector and a Kinect on the wall. and I thought that was pretty neat, and this was $25. So I ordered it, and I looked up all the software and stuff, and I don't know, I thought I could come up with a couple of really fun and cool projects. So I ordered this Connect, which also just happens to come with this little converter box, which allows you to plug it into it gives you a standard USB 3.0 cable. So yeah, I ordered it, and it'll sit on the back burner for a while, but I'm sure I'll get around to actually using it at some point. You see, a depth sensor is super useful if you've got a project that can actually utilize it properly. At this stage, it's just going to be used as a toy, maybe. I don't really have a spare computer to run this sort of thing, so it'd have to be run on my main computer. Maybe my laptop could handle it, but my laptop is pretty dang old. But the main thing is I've got this device that I have wanted for a few years in order to do these little test and plays with, and now I'll be able to do it. Now that I've got everything printed, I will bring to light two little mistakes I made. Now, the first mistake is going to be most visually obvious, and that is, there's this black bar along the bottom of the screen, and I included that in this hole for the screen. So there'll be a bit of a black bar at the bottom of the screen, which isn't actually that much of an issue. This board sits in there reasonably well. Now, the other issue is I made a very slight indent along the top to sort of help the board slot in. So it will slot in like that and sort of click into place. Other than the fact that it doesn't actually quite click into place, which leaves the screen sort of far away from the hole. So I will make a slight adjustment there with my soldering iron. And other than that, we're doing pretty well here. Now, I've got the lettering here, and it looks kind of jank because my 3D printer's resolution is kind of low. It's old. So one thing that, I had planned from the beginning was I'm thinking I could use some twink, or is this correction pen fluid, to fill this in to make it a lot more legible and readable. I also went all out and got a 24-piece color acrylic paint set in case I felt like I could do a better job painting into it. I'm going to skip that. I think the 7 milliliters of this white correction pen in the gaps is going to be enough, and then I'm going to give it a bit of a sanding just to help finish the top there, because it looks pretty mank. Okay, maybe a paintbrush is something that I should have actually considered for applying this correctional fluid, because that's not looking the best. Alright, so I guess I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to sanding down a 3D printed part. The idea was definitely there, but the execution just didn't hold up well at all, and I broke a little bit there because that is some pretty thin plastic right there. So it's time to do another print. Unfortunately, that's another 3 hours that I've got to wait before I can actually install and finish this little project that should have been done ages ago. Luckily for me, I've been naming my files appropriately, and I saved it to my little Octoprint server up here, which probably actually needs a box and proper casing for it. So I was able to just basically hit restart so we can print that little box out again, and hopefully it'll be done in 3 hours. Now, I have changed the bed over from the old magnetic thing, which has lots of groove lines and damage done to it, back to the original glass plate, and I tried to level it as best I could. I think there is a slight bow going concave, inwards in the very center of it, so fingers crossed I got it right. Let's see how it goes. Now to install the power strip on the side of this. Hang on a second, I forgot to show you building the power supply. In order to power this new little box being put on the wall, I didn't want to dedicate a whole plug just to it. So I'm putting together a multi-box plus this little USB power box which has multiple outputs, allowing other things to also be plugged into it. This part didn't take too long, it was pretty straightforward. Then of course I finished it off by attaching it to the cupboard that is next to the bench and putting that USB power brick on the back of it. Everything held in by screws with the lead running down to the ground where there is another plug for me to plug into. And let's see how this has turned out. It came off nicely and oh wow, that looks so much better. Now to finally put everything together, and for some reason try that twink idea again. Anyway, let's get all the buttons in, we'll get the wires prepared, then we'll start soldering everything up so that we can lock it into the box and have everything hot glued down. Oh no. Something's gone wrong. Okay, well, I have to leave for work now. I'll have to figure that out some other time. There's a button there and there. Those buttons were pressed down and causing it to not boot properly. Other than that, it must have been working perfectly fine. Buttons have been removed. And now, for the very first time, let's get this little widget on the wall going, and I'm going to start off with the 36-degree setting. It's turned the kettle on and it's set the target temperature to 36 degrees Celsius, which is the whole reason I made this little box, to make controlling this little thing a little easier, and of course to give me the information on what temperature it is actually at. I'm going to advance it up to 100 degrees Celsius so we can bring it to a boil. I'll push 36, here we go, it's gone away. I'll put boil and it should come back to 100 degrees Celsius as the target temperature. Finally, this little project has been completed and I don't have to think about it anymore and I can move on. while it's boiling and I'm shouting, I thought I'd go over the whole thing as it stands. So, as you know, we've got the two buttons here, 35 degrees Celsius and boil. The 35 is because I had a baby and the water needs to be at about that temperature. It usually goes just a couple degrees higher, which is why it is a couple degrees lower. It also has this little section in here labeled cold, which will tell you how many millimeters of room temperature water based on the local temperature sensors in the house you need to add to whatever temperature the kettle currently is in order to make sure that that bottle will be at a safe, comfortable temperature for the baby. Now, of course, I didn't stop there and just making a physical thing over there. Of course, in the Home Assistant application itself, I've got a couple of buttons there as well. Both the boil and the 36 degree, as well as this, which gives a visual representation of about how much water needs to be added compared to hot water so that you can have the safe, comfortable drinking temperature for the baby. That is also why this wire is just dangling over there and plugging in there, because this is a temporary solution. Babies don't stay young forever. We're going to grow up and get old, so this is going to become redundant and we're no longer going to care about the exact temperature of the kettle. So it's there while we have it, while we can, of course, and same with in the app. Eventually, once we no longer need to know the exact temperature of the kettle, this baby bottle section will go, and so will that. I will still make it so that you can maybe double tap on it and it pops up a window so that you can set the exact target temperature that you want it to be set to. But for the most part, everyone just wants the kettle to boil or know what the temperature of the kettle is so they know if they need to reboil it. And that brings this little project to a nice little end with the bow on top as the kettle comes to a boil. By the way, this kettle holds its temperature really dang well, like way better than my last one and better than any kettle I've had before, which is kind of annoying when you're trying to debug some code and stuff where you want the temperature to lower. It means I have to put more cold water in there and reboil it and stuff. So that's the end of that project. I'm so glad this project is finally done. It has taken a really long time purely because I just haven't been able to dedicate enough time in order to get this finished and done in the smaller amount of time I wanted to. But I'd say the overall time was reasonable. I do wish I could do better with the lettering on there, but until I've got a 3D printer that can print with 2 or more different filaments, I'm not going to get a result that I'm entirely happy with.